Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Glad you could join me. So I'm back reading the Vampire Hunter D novels. I haven't really stopped. I paused for a bit because there were some books that I had checked out from the library that needed to be read before the due date. So, yeah. Anyway, back onto Vampire Hunter D. This is volume 10 in the series. This is called Dark Nocturne. Now, when I was looking at some material online, there seems to be some confusion with this one, and that could stem from the way it came about. So Dark Nocturne is different than the other Vampire Hunter D novels. This one is actually 3 short stories, and from what I gather from reading the postscript in the back is that the author was approached about writing something different, or at least publishing Vampire Hunter D in a different way. And so he jumped at the chance, wrote 3 short stories that were serialized in a magazine, and then later collected into this volume. So I don't know if this is where this really falls in the Vampire Hunter D series, or if that's just kind of when it was published, when it came to the American audience. Not entirely sure. Anyway, there are 3, as I said, 3 short stories. The first is Dark Nocturne itself, and then you have an ode to Imagined Fall, and Legend of the War Fiends. Now, in the first one, in Dark Nocturne, we meet a young man named Rai. Rai is traveling to a town called Annis. When he was younger, he heard a song, and his family moved away from the village, and on his deathbed, his dad said, the village of Annis. And so he's going back to the village of Annis because of this song. He meets some people on the way, 3 hunters that try to kill him but are dissuaded from doing so by D. They meet in the forest. They get to the town, and they find out that this song is important to the history of the town. The town has had outbreaks of this song, and I say outbreaks. The song lures young people away from the village, and obviously it comes down to the song was created by the nobility. The nobility then prey on these individuals who are lured out of town, but at the same time, these individuals don't act like normal when put in context of the nobility. So in other situations where people are lured away from their town or whatever by the nobility prey on them, they come back to town, they turn into vampires in town and endanger their families. In this case, the people who hear the song and are lured out of town, yes, they're preyed on by the nobility, but when they come back, all they want to do is sing this song. So this particular story revolves around Rai and why he's in town, why the song is calling out to him, and also D trying to put an end to the song and the vampires that are created or are preying on the townsfolk because of the song. In an ode to Imagined Fall, there's an old woman, her name is Helga. She hires D. She goes around, she picks apples in the orchard and things, and notices that the apples are rotten from the inside out. And she knows that means that the nobility are returning to her village. So she summons D to the city or the village of Shirley's Door. Now, the village, what they do is they have this ritual where they take a young girl, put her in a shack, and sacrifice her to the vampire. And supposedly this placates the vampire, and the vampire doesn't then attack the rest of the village. And so Helga wants this to stop happening, and so she summons Dee to find out what's going on and to stop the sacrifices. The problem is that there haven't been nobility in quite a while in the village. But they return every fall, and that's why they have this ritual. The problem is where are they coming from? What is going on here? They figure that the best, their best bet of finding the nobility is that the house is hidden somewhere or the mansion is hidden somewhere in the swamp. So you do have a lot going on there with the vampire hunter coming to town. The town is not behind him destroying the vampire, which is really odd. And it's not necessarily for the normal things that you would think, where somebody in the village has a connection to the vampire. Someone does indeed have a connection to the vampire secretly, but I won't go into that too much. But the town is very, very worried that if Dee somehow takes out the vampire, it's going to spill over onto them. I don't understand that myself. They're perfectly happy to just allow the vampire to continue preying on their town into the indefinite future for whatever reason. I don't understand. But Dee gets hired by Helga to put a stop to the sacrifices and to the vampire. In the last story, called Legend of the War Fiends, two noble houses sometime in the past got into a feud with each other. And they created two living weapons that were supposed to settle this feud for them. One you meet right away. His name is Dinas the Wanderer. He is a warrior. He's 10 feet tall. He's composed of muscle. When Dee meets him, he has a 10-foot club that he carries with him. He actually does get into a fight with Dee, but he was sleeping. Dee had battled some guys, and the battle woke Dinas up, and they have a little bit of a fight, but Dinas backs off as soon as he realizes that Dee could kill him. It's kind of interesting in this particular instance. Both Dinas and I don't want to go too much into the Dinas's opponent, because if I do, that'll spoil the story. But Dinas and his opponent are very much constructed in such a way that if you were to leave them alone, they would leave you alone, which is an interesting thing with the novels. Usually tools of the nobility are very much violent towards anyone and anything, regardless of whether or not that thing is a problem for the nobility itself. As I said, when Dee meets Dinas for the first time, Dinas immediately backs down, which is usually not something that happens in one of these novels. Well, he backs down as soon as he realizes that he's no match for Dee himself. He basically backs off and says, "No, that's enough. I'm just on my way to this other place to fight." And it comes about later that Dinas says that if we could settle this situation peacefully, I'm all for it. which is, again, it's another interesting contradiction among the tools of the nobility that have been discussed in previous books. So, in the past, Dinas and the warrior from the other house, vampire noble house, they've fought before, but they've never managed to definitively defeat one another. It's always been fought to a standstill kind of thing, and then they have to go back to their separate corners kind of thing. And so Dee goes to this other town, and it turns out that that's where Dinas is going to. When he gets there, the town is kind of on edge. There's a family that lives there in town, and there's a man there in town from the capital, and he has bought a young lady. The young lady is named Raya, but these three individuals, they're warriors, but they won't leave, and they keep tabs on this girl Raya. And each of them obviously has their own abilities. And they are definitely not there for the benefit of the town. But it's there's no real indication of what they are there for, other than that they're watching this one girl and preventing her from being taken from the city to the capital. All right. So, if you're liking Vampire Hunter D, if you want to get more into it, yeah, Dark Nocturne is a good one. It, as I said, it is different. Instead of one story with Vampire Hunter D, you're getting three. They're shorter. They introduce some interesting elements. As I said, we have a tool of the nobility, a man who was created to be an ultimate weapon, but he doesn't really have any interest in fighting. And he, as I said, he tells Dee at one point, look, if we can figure out how to resolve this peacefully, I'll just go on about my business. I don't have any real desire to fight anyone who doesn't attack me. And then you have the Dark Nocturne itself, where this song is causing so many problems. It's luring people, and it is causing kind of an outbreak of vampirism, but one that's not typical. And again, the interesting part about an ode to imagined autumn is that they've got this setup where every autumn they have to sacrifice somebody because they don't know how to get rid of the nobility, and they're afraid to even try to get rid of the nobility, which is, I mean, there's always fear in these books where the nobility is concerned, but most of the time the normal people who are in the story, while they are afraid, they're not afraid necessarily of getting rid of the nobility, of having Dee there to hunt them down. If there is some fear, it's one of the things about the Rose Princess. This, I think, is something that demonstrates this. The town that was involved in that story of the Rose Princess, they were afraid because of the Rose Princess's bodyguards, because they took any slight against her personally. And so they would do things like randomly execute people. It's not that the villagers didn't want to get rid of them or didn't want to get rid of the nobility. They were all for that. They were afraid of not necessarily becoming vampires themselves or anything of that nature. It was that threat of violence from the outside. Whereas this is, the only threat that exists is the vampire who's coming to the sacrifice. And so really the only thing is that every year they have to sacrifice someone, and that's one person per year. And so it's not really in my mind, it's not really a reason to be like, oh no, we can't get rid of this noble. If we get rid of this noble, then there's no sacrifices. And it's not even like the noble is coming after the rest of the town. So, interesting developments. D through it all is shown to be stoic, but has hidden human emotions that keep him from being completely akin to the very beings he hunts. He does care about the humans. He just hides it very, very well. Anyway, that's it for this one. I'm moving on to the next book in the Vampire Hunter D series, which is Pale Fallen Angel. That comes in actually 2 volumes, split into 4 different stories. So the next review will probably be Pale Fallen Angel 1, Volume 1 and Volume 2 at the same time. So look forward to that. Let me know if you've read Dark Nocturne and what you thought of it. Let me know if you've read any of the other Vampire Hunter D novels. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.